ways you can work around things to improve things, and it just seems like they're not trying to do that.
I think they're a good unit, obviously led by Victor Wembanyama.
Experience as a good head coach, like in the past 12 years ago when they won the Super Bowl.
B2-38 in an absolute thriller. Play after play. Touchdown after touchdown.
My family was just in complete disappointment.
Wanted to be a Philly, which is insane.
We saw the big thing after we first drafted him was that three-point shot. Obviously, he's drained that down, so we can't even really complain.
My team, so it's been really cool.
I'm definitely not a special guest. I'm a guest on a special podcast. That's what it is.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of Two Mics All Sports. I'm your host, Zachary Chaby, joined by a very special guest, Zach Elliott. What's going on, man?
What up, what up? How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. So, in today's video, we're going to be giving you guys our NBA Finals predictions / preview video. If you guys saw my Sixers-Knicks series preview video, it's going to be very similar to that. We're going to break down how both of these teams that are now in the finals that will start Wednesday night in San Antonio have gotten to the finals, our prediction for both of those, and how we think the series is ultimately going to play out. So, but starting here, we're going to start here first with the Knicks side of things. Obviously, the Knicks were able to advance sooner than the Spurs. They did it in 4 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me ask you this first, Zach. The Knicks have not lost in close to over a month here. How do you think their winning ways have transitioned them into a finals that they're going to be very much tested?
I think that they have been absolutely phenomenal. They've played perfect basketball throughout the entire team. From the best players to the worst players, they've played as a complete team. No one is really struggling. They've had guys like Shamet step up. They had McBride, who was having a very good round against the Sixers in the semifinals, who kind of cooled off, but another guy who was able to knock down threes. They have been absolutely perfect. I can't even think of one thing that they've done wrong thus far. It's going to be a tester against the Spurs, but I mean, if there's any team that can take down San Antonio, it's them.
Absolutely, and I like how you talk about different players stepping up, and that even transitions into the starting lineup. Obviously, Jalen Brunson ran the show. He averaged 26. He's averaging 26.9 points so far this playoffs. But then other guys like OG Anunoby, when he came back from injury, he stepped up. Mikal Bridges is a night and day difference of what they're getting from him in last year's conference finals in comparison to this conference finals. He could not miss. Karl-Anthony Towns is being the co-star next to Jalen Brunson when they traded for him. Every piece that they need to assist them in winning is doing it at a consistent basis. And then you talk about Landry Shamet. He might be the hottest guy in the playoffs right now, especially in that Cavs series. He started to show it in that Sixers series, but he could not miss down the stretch in that Cavs game. And I think a perfect example of all this is like how Game 1 changed literally the Cavs-Knicks series. It probably, if Cavs would have won that game, it probably would have gone to 6, maybe even 7, and the Knicks probably would have won either way. But the way it swung the series, and the Knicks were able to come back, took all the momentum that the Cavs had, and exposed their weaknesses down the stretch, it made the series not even close. In a dominating fashion, the Knicks got the sweep. So,
100%.
But let me ask you this: when it comes to the Knicks, who do you think past Jalen Brunson has to be their biggest X factor against the Spurs?
I'm going to go a different route here. I'm going to say Josh Hart. I think Josh Hart has been absolutely phenomenal these playoffs. He's been a defensive threat. He's been an offensive threat. He's done everything from rebounding to scoring. He's been perfect. Him doing his job and continuing to do what he's been able to do thus far in the playoffs is such a factor for the Knicks to have success in the series with guys like Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell.
Absolutely, and I think Josh Hart's just that type of guy. He's the guy always chasing down the rebounds. He might be not one of the taller guys. He's relatively tall, but it's like he plays bigger than what his body actually staggers up to be. And he's that type of guy. He can knock down the three every now and then. But when it comes for me, I think I'm going to go with OG Anunoby. He really came to life in that Cavs series down the stretch. And honestly, I talk about Karl-Anthony Towns being the second scorer. Anunoby and Brunson run that 1-2 combo very efficiently when they're both thriving very well. And Anunoby's just a pure scorer. He has the experience before. He won a championship very young in his career with the Raptors in 2019. So he's been in this position before. Now a more veteran-led guy, a guy who's been here before, now older and has had more playoff experiences and has thrived because of it. He wasn't with the Knicks last year, so who's to say they didn't win that series? Or I believe he was banged up last year too, right? Because he was banged up.
I'm not sure. That's a very good question.
Because he was banged up in 23 when they lost in the second round. I just think, but the most of the thing is always the difference of coaching now. Like, obviously, he might have not been hurt last year, but they still had Tom Thibodeau. Mike Brown, honestly, going into the season, I did not think the Knicks were going to change any bit because of a coaching change, but it obviously changed them a lot because Mike Brown has been able to find the best in these guys, and he's playing the right guys at the right time. I say this because you talk about Landry Shamet. He played Deuce McBride when he was hot. He plays Jordan Clarkson when they need him. He's played Mitchell Robinson, who, although can't knock down a free throw, is getting good rebounds and getting put good back dunks. And then he's throwing in Jose Alvarado every now and then to give them good minutes. He knows when to use the right players at the right time and knows when they're hot and knows when they're cold, and that's why the Knicks have gotten to the point they are right now. So, but one final question here I have for the Knicks before we move on to the Spurs side of things. What do you expect out of Jalen Brunson in this series? Do you expect the same, even more than what he's given us, or are you expecting less than what he's done so far?
I'm expecting the exact same he's been doing. He's been phenomenal for the Knicks, and he's done exactly what he needs to do. He's not doing too much, but he's doing the just perfect amount to keep the Knicks at the level they are playing at and let the guys around him also help him out. I expect the same, if not a little bit more, from Brunson. All hands on deck for this series against the Spurs. He should come out and be an absolute stud like he's been thus far.
I agree on that part, but my point is now going to lead us into the Spurs point. I think I'm expecting out of him, but I think he's not going to be able to deliver on it. And that brings me to the Spurs part of it. I'm going to say why it's not going to happen. It's one guy. It's Stephon Castle. He did it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at points during this last series where they won in 7 games. And I think he could do it against the Knicks here with Jalen Brunson. But moving on to the Spurs side of things, obviously they're coming up a grueling 7-game series that they were able to win in OKC Game 7 to get to their first NBA Finals since 2014. I forgot to also mention it's a rematch of the 1999 Finals, the last time the Knicks were in the Finals before this point. But moving on to the Spurs side of things, it starts and it finishes with Victor Wembanyama. What do you think his impact is going to be in this series as it's been in the rest of the playoffs so far?
He should be. He's going to be absolutely incredible. He has been incredible thus far. To be in his 3rd season and to be in his first real playoff run, he has been phenomenal, and pressure has not crumbled him thus far with the matches he's had. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. Obviously a different matchup here because the Thunder throw Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren at him, so a little difficult test here with Mitch Robinson, who's not 100% but should still be a threat, and Karl Anthony Towns. But, I mean, I think he's still going to be as successful as he's been in the past. This should be a great series for him, and he should hopefully lead the Spurs to their NBA title victory.
Absolutely, and it's just insane. He does not fear anything. It's like you saw it in Game 1 against OKC. He came into Game 1 after beating the Timberwolves, and he was dynamite. Like, especially down the stretch, him taking the ball up court and pulling it from Curry range, literally giving you Curry versus OKC flashbacks from a 7'4" guy is absolutely insane. And another thing that's just become a more common base, he's knocking down more 3-pointers when he shoots them. He's not shooting a lot of them. He's maybe shooting 5 or 6 a game, but he's shooting north of 50% from the 3-point line when he's shooting them, and that's a huge factor. And if he's knocking them down on a consistent basis, there's not much Karl Anthony Towns or Mitchell Robinson can do, because I think Mitchell Robinson's over 7 foot, and then Karl Anthony Towns is close to it. He might be like 6'11", but still, they're gonna get a hand in his face. But Wemby's a few inches taller than them, for crying out loud, that he could just shoot right over them. And then I think a big difference is the Knicks. Although Mitchell Robinson is a good defender, Karl Anthony Towns is not. And the Knicks do not run 2 center sets as much as the Thunder do. So I think that's where the Spurs are going to take advantage of things when it's just Karl Anthony Towns as the center out there. Get it down to Wemby in the paint, and he's going to dominate on that fact. Although he did it to Chet Holmgren, who now it looks like, I'm saying it, Chet Holmgren, he's I don't even know what to say, because his contract extension's kicking in. Wemby kind of made him his bitch in this last series. It was plain and simple, and I could see him doing very much to Towns. I know Towns has been better. as of late as a defender in these playoffs. But once a bad defender, always a bad defender. So, but moving on from that point of all things, I want to ask you about. I'm going to give you 3 players, and I want you to give me your overall impact you think they'll make in this series. I'm going to start first with the rookie Dylan Harper, then Julian Champagnie, and then then Keldon Johnson, the other forward.
Right, Dylan Harper. He is a rookie this year, correct?
Or he didn't finish top 3, but he is
a rookie though. Like this is his rookie year.
Yeah, this is his rookie year. He didn't finish top 3 in rookie voting, but he's been the most explosive rookie in the playoffs because he's made it the farthest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's been incredible for the Spurs. He's definitely given them some help in their front court with pairing him with Devin Vassell. So he should be a pretty big threat. He's been pretty solid in this series, some up games, some down games, but he should remain pretty consistent and be definitely a factor for the Spurs thus far. And then who are the other 2 guys? I'm sorry.
Julian Champagnie and Keldon Johnson.
Julian Champagnie. I actually don't remember him on the Sixers. I don't know why, but of course Sixers let him go, and now he's balling out. But he's been incredible as well too. He has been an absolute threat from the three, and he has completely helped them score past that 3 and give them some extra points. He had a great Game 7. He had a great Game 5. He was solid in Game 6. I mean, he's been great thus far. He'll continue to keep doing what he's doing and be the great guy he is. And then Keldon Johnson, right?
Yes.
Okay. Keldon Johnson's been solid too. I think he's probably been the worst of these 3, but he's definitely been another guy that's been helping the Spurs a lot. I expect him to be the same solid role player he's been, but really it more falls on to Castle and Champagnie. That would be those 2 need to definitely be on their stuff in order for the Spurs to get this series win.
Absolutely. And I just mentioned Johnson as the last guy because he's one of those guys that's been like Devin Vassell. Those 2 are the guys that were like the OG kind of Spurs, like with like still Popovich. Everyone thought that was the period of time where Keldon Johnson was their top guy. Pretty young, but now he's kind of taking a back seat. But he had a huge Game 7, so I just asked him because the impact he could make in this series. Julian Champagnie, man, it's just like he found a light in Game 7, and he's just that type of guy. He's knocking down. Him and Devin Vassell have become the demons or like the X factors from 3-pointer. They can knock them out anytime. Devin Vassell honestly reminds me of Andrew Nembhard from last year's Pacers team because he's kind of on the smaller side. He plays that shooting guard, but he can pull off from anywhere from 3 and knock it down. And then Julian Champagnie maybe is like that Benedict Mathurin. Or even, I think I have a better comparison, Aaron Nesmith, because Aaron Nesmith really came alive in last year's playoffs for the Pacers, and then Champagnie's kind of doing the same thing. And then Dylan Harper, what more can you ask out of a rookie, man? He's exceeded expectations through the rooks and proving time and time again why he was a 2nd overall pick and proving that this rookie class is going to go down as one of the best. Because these other guys that are already good this season get into the playoffs, it's only going to rise their draft stock from that class even more. So, but then I want to ask you about like a bigger question. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox was playing well or decently well throughout the first 2 rounds, then got banged up, and then really hasn't been the same since. What kind of impact do you think he'll be able to make in this series if he's healthy enough to make it?
I expect a lot of De'Aaron Fox. He was very good in that Timberwolves series. He had a very strong scoring performance. He was very good in Game 7 as well. I expect him to kind of flow back into the way things were in that Timberwolves series and come back to the player he was. I don't think they necessarily need him to step up, but I think it's important that he does in case guys like Keldon Johnson and Stefan Castle and guys like that can't perform. You need your veteran to come out and do his thing.
Absolutely. And I think De'Aaron Fox has been tough that he hasn't been healthy, but the big factor I leave with him and Fox and stuff like that is like De'Aaron Fox, as long as he's there, I think that's exactly what the Spurs need. He's a point guard that can control the rock. And Castle can do it, but you could see times when De'Aaron Fox is out those first few games, Castle struggled with turnovers. And him struggling with turnovers cost the Spurs at least Game 2. But then when De'Aaron Fox came back, although they lost Game 3, you could see the instant impact they made when De'Aaron Fox was back in the lineup and how it helped them down the stretch. So I think that's where his impact is really going to show, just being that point guard that this young team needs, because he has veteran experience, although it's never been past the first round. He's the type of guy that when you need him to knock down a shot, he can, and he's just hopefully getting healthier and healthier and can really be an impact for the Spurs team in this finals matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to break it down game by game and give our ultimate predictions on who we have winning this year's NBA Finals. We'll start off with game one. Who do you have winning game one? And give me your the player of the game in game one.
In game one, I am going to go. This is so tough because I love both teams. This is a toss-up for me. I'm going to say the Spurs win game one coming off that OKC win. I'm going to say the player of the game is going to be Wembanyama. I agree with you. I believe that cat's just not a good enough defender to stop him. And then you have to think about his three-point success recently. He's going to be very hard to contain. I don't think the Knicks have it all figured out in game one if they get it all figured out. So I'm going to say Spurs win. Wembanyama is your player of the game.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with San Antonio in game one because they've at least had a few days off of rest, because every time the Knicks, excluding the Hawks series, they've played a team off a 7-game series that only had 1 day of rest. The Spurs at least have had a few days of rest off, and they're not playing. Yeah. They won on Saturday night, and they're not playing till Wednesday night. So they're going to have plenty of days off from rest, still having that momentum high, and it's in San Antonio. That's another thing. The Knicks were playing all these teams game one in New York. The rest of them are going to be in San Antonio. So I'm going to go with the Spurs, but my player of the game is going to be Stephon Castle. I think he's going to be great on the offensive end and the defensive end, and I think this is going to be the start of a great series for him where he averages 25 points a game in these finals. So, but moving on to game two, do you have the Knicks tying up this series, or do you have it going 2-0 back to New York?
In game two, I am going to say the Knicks tie up the series. I think if the Knicks go down 2-0, I think it's that the Spurs are that good that it's already over. I think the Knicks have to tie up the series in San Antonio in order for it to even go to 6 or 7 games. So I'm going to say Knicks tied up in game two. And I'm going to say I really love Josh Hart. I'm going to stick with Josh Hart as my player of the game. The role player impact is huge for New York out of guys like him. And I think that he's the player of the game. Knicks win game two.
Okay. And I'm going to agree with you on that. I think the Knicks they're not going to go back to New York tied 1-1. They're a good enough team to, they're a very good team. I think they're going to be really tested in this series, but they've been really improved this year to not go down 2-0 going back to New York. And my player of the game is I talked about him, it's going to be OG Anunoby. I could see him having a 30 bomb, leading the Knicks in scoring, and just being that guy down the stretch that could not miss. We've seen it time and time again with guys in the playoffs. He kind of reminds me, if the Knicks are able to win this series, like Andrew Wiggins was to the Warriors in 2022. He could be that piece behind Jalen Brunson like Andrew Wiggins was. So, but now, since we both have the series tied 1-1 going back to New York, who do you have taking that deciding game three?
Oh, man. Game three in New York. I'm going to take the Knicks to win this one. And I'm actually going to say Bridges is our player of the game. He has been phenomenal against the Cavs. He's been phenomenal the whole playoffs. He's been scoring a lot. He's done a great job all around. I'm going to say Bridges is your player of the game for game three. Knicks take it in New York.
Okay. I like that a lot. I think that could easily happen because Bridges has been finding his spot lately, so for him being able to knock that down. I am going to go with the Spurs, though. And I think this is the first of many games that you talk about Wembanyama in game one. I think this is his game in game three. He has his thunder moment in game three. Crowd is going crazy. He hits a few clutch shots down the stretch, and he finishes with 35, 12, and 7. If I get that, I'm a magician. But I think he's going to finish with that type of game and knock down a few clutch shots to give the Spurs a 2-1 lead. So, But now, since we both you have the Knicks 2-1, I have the Spurs 2-1. Do you have the Spurs tying it up here?
Yes, Spurs 100% are tying this up. The Spurs are going to definitely play. They play well with their back against the wall. They were down this entire Thunder series until they tied in game 6 and won in game 7. I apologize. They won game 1. They were down after game 1. They fought back this whole series. They showed so much resilience against this tough Thunder team. They're going to do the same thing in New York in Madison Square Garden. The Spurs take Game 4. They tie the series 2-2, send it back to San Antonio. This is my Victor Wembanyama moment. I had him for player of the one in Game 2. I'm having him for player of the game in Game 4. He is phenomenal. He knows when to show up, and he will show up when down 2-1.
Okay. I'm going to go with San Antonio, too, and I think they're going to go up 3-1. And obviously, when I threw out the Knicks, I haven't talked about Jalen Brunson. I've kind of had a prediction throwing through my mind these past few days, and I'm going to stick it on right here. I think Stephon Castle is going to do so well in defense that Jalen Brunson doesn't average 25. I don't think he scores more than 25 in an entire game this series. That is my bold prediction. I think Shea had some 30 bombs, but more than often than not, he wasn't that efficient because of Stephon Castle's defense. Castle's going to know how to defend a guy like Jalen Brunson, who's a flopper, but not D1 level flopper like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to be able to defend him on that part. And I think he's going to be able to defend Brunson, but I think this is going to be a Devin Vassell game. I think he's going to knock down 8 or 9 3-pointers, hit it time and time again when the Knicks are starting to make a run. Vassell hits that 3-pointer to stretch the lead out even more, and the Spurs go up 3-1 heading back to San Antonio. But now, moving on to Game 5, which you have at 2-2, who do you have winning that decisive Game 5?
Game 5, I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs again. This one, I'm a little more stuck on my player of the game. I've obviously picked Wemby twice now. I don't want to pick him again. This is a team that's not relying on Wemby completely. There's a lot of guys that factor in. So I'm going to go with either Devon, or Julian. And this one's my player of the game, again, with the same threes, the scoring ability. This is more of a role player game where they need to step up, they need to shoot well, and they need to take some weight off Wembanyama's shoulders in order for the Spurs to take this one and go up 3-2.
Absolutely. Although I've had San Antonio at 3-1, I don't think they're going to finish it off in 5. I think the Knicks are going to take the Game 5, keep their season alive, and I think Karl-Anthony Towns will show up in this game with the backs against the wall. He'll be the player of the game, but then, like you mentioned, Mikal Bridges, I think Mikal Bridges will be that co-star next to him. Karl-Anthony Towns will average more to win the player of the game, and then Mikal Bridges also. It's going to be like that kind of case where Karl-Anthony Towns was the better player, but they also don't win without Mikal Bridges' contribution.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now, going back to New York, we both have it 3-2, just in different ways of getting there. Can the Spurs close out in New York to win the NBA championship?
I want to say no. The Knicks have been so good this playoffs. They've been phenomenal. They've played well. Madison Square Garden fires them up and fuels this team's energy. But I'm going to see the Spurs win here, and this might be Aaron Fox game, where he shows us how good he was against the Timberwolves, how good he has been his entire career. He's going to come out, he's going to ball out, he's going to hold this one down, and the Spurs are going to take Game 6 in Madison Square Garden and be your champions.
I like it a lot. And it's pretty much simple as this. Wemby is a demon. Castle will have Brunson in jail. Spurs in 6. It's that simple. I think the Spurs are going to win this series in 6 games. The Knicks are going to compete. I think every one of these games, except for maybe one, will come down to the final 2 or minute of the game. These two teams play great defense and great offense that meshing it together is going to cause some friction between teams trying. I could very much see a lot of these games in these series not even reaching 100 points to the final few minutes because they both play well on the defensive end, and their offense could get hot at points, but their defense could completely contradict each other, leading to not many points, which I'm completely fine with because these teams are so athletic that they can go on runs and show a lot of athleticism that if they're not scoring a lot of points, you're still going to have a lot of highlights in those games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think San Antonio is going to win in Game 6, and I think the rookie Dylan Harper will have his moment to close out the series. But before we wrap things up, as we both have the Spurs in 6, who is your Finals MVP?
It's got to be Victor Wembanyama. I don't think there's any other guy on this team that is as big as a contributor as him. Although they all have contributed, they all have had their moments, he is the clear cut at Finals MVP. He has been unbelievable thus far, and he is going to be the main factor of this win against the Knicks.
Absolutely. I'm agree with you with Wemby, but like I mentioned it before, I think it's going to be the case because you remember when Curry won Finals MVP, with the Warriors when they beat the Celtics, but then they also wouldn't have won with Andrew Wiggins. I think it's going to be the same case here with the Spurs. Wemby will win MVP, but they will not win without Stephon Castle because I just think his defense is so great, and the way he's able to, he completely locked up Shea during the regular season and showed that same glimpses in the actual playoff series with more pressure put on him. And I just think in that scenario, advantage Spurs, and Castle's going to be able to lock down Brunson. Maybe it might be a crazy prediction, but I've seen it. I've seen the way he can play defense, and I think he can play matchup well against Jalen Brunson. It's that plain and simple. So, but since we both have the Spurs in 6, is there anything closing thoughts you have about this series or the playoffs as a whole before we wrap things up?
I don't know. I think this has been a phenomenal playoffs. I like your Stephen Castle statement with Brunson, but I'm very interested. I think this could go a lot of different ways. I have the Spurs in 6. I think they could easily not win. The Knicks could win easily as well. I mean, there's a lot of factors. It's going to be a great series either way. I'm very excited for it. We have had a great playoffs overall, so overall I'm excited, and I can't wait to see how Brunson goes on the biggest stage, how he plays on the biggest stage, and the rest of the Knicks.
Absolutely. Well, one thing is for sure, New York will be ecstatic. It might explode either positively or negatively from how fans feel. So we'll see either way. But I'm thinking it's going to be a good series. I think no matter who wins, it's going to go 6 or 7 games because these two teams just even out each other too much that it would make no sense for it to be a blowout because these teams match up well against each other and they're going to take each other to the limit. It's that plain and simple. So we'll see what happens though. But I appreciate Zach coming on here and giving his thoughts about the finals as we get closer to here. But we will be live streaming for Game 1 of the finals, so make sure to tune in for that. But other than that, both Zachs here signing out. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys, and peace.